Hi everyone, Olivia here from the Manchester Unity Members Forum, and today I'm joined by Sofian again, and we're going to be talking about successful relationships and what they look like and how to have them. I'm also joined again by my friend Alfie. He made an appearance in the last video, and we're just going to be having a chat about what successful relationships looks like. So before we begin the video, I'll pass it over to Sofian so he can introduce himself, and then we'll start the video.
Hi everyone, hi Olivia, hi Alfie, and so welcome to the new video of Manchester Unity. So today we're just going to have a discussion about what it takes to get a successful relationship. So my name is Sofian, I'm the founder of Shaking Minds. The purpose of Shaking Minds is to create a positive impact in people's life and obviously into the relationship as well. So really happy to talk about this today.
Fantastic, thank you. So before we dive into the deep questions, what does a successful relationship look like?
Good question. I think everyone will have a different definition of what does a successful relationship look like, because I think it's really up to every single person to know what they want. I think if we were to put a definition behind what is a successful relationship, it would simply to feel that we are on the same wavelength as the partner, or as the partner was the friend, because when we talk about relationship, it doesn't only reflect intimate relationship, it's also a relationship that you have with family and friends, right? So the idea is really to get to be on the same frequency or wavelength, if you prefer, to feel that you understand each other, and that you have a sound understanding of each other that helps you to know what's happening in the other one's mind.
Cool. So how do you know if you're perhaps in an unsuccessful relationship? What are sort of some signs that you might look for if either in like a partner relationship or even just a friendship relationship, that perhaps it might be unsuccessful or it's a relationship not worth pursuing?
So it's a very difficult thing to find, because basically there will be some things that are wrong for you and some other things that are wrong for other people. Like your relationship is a very subjective thing, right? So basically what you want to look at is how you feel about it yourself. It's really, you have to look inside you. Don't look about what people will tell you about the relationship. It's more about what is it going to look inside for you. And the thing is about it's about updating yourself consistently with the person that is on the other side. And so, there's one other thing that when my clients comes to see me and we talk about relationship, and they start to describe, for example, the behavior that the partner is displaying or something like this, the first question I'm asking them is to say, if that person wasn't your partner, would you accept that behavior or not? And most of the time you realize that you won't. You would not accept that behavior if that person wasn't your partner. So uh, there are a few things that you might accept, but then there's some other one that you won't. And it's really about asking yourself, if that was a fresh person, would I want to be with that person, yes or no? If the answer is no, then this is a big sign, a big red flag that you are in an unsuccessful relationship, as simple as this. If you feel down all the time, it's not a very successful relationship. If you feel not happy all the time, it's an unsuccessful relationship as well. You know what I mean? So for me, the key to a successful relationship is, obviously you cannot be happy all the time, right? Because we all have our up and down, that's the point. But the thing is, you're here to cheer each other up and to support each other as well.
Cool. And you mentioned that we shouldn't really, or just before you said that about other people influencing or perhaps commenting on your relationship. Do you think it is worth chatting to other people to see what they may think of the relationship from more of like an objective point of view?
Well, the question is it really going to be objective? And that's the point. I think there's absolutely no problem to seek for other people's expertise or for other people's points of view, but you got to keep in mind that there is a high chance that it's not going to be objective at all, because most of the time you're only going to ask to your family or your friends or someone that you know and you're familiar with, right? So in that situation, those people, most of the time, they're here to protect you. So because they're here to protect you and because they care about you, they might not going to give you a very objective point of view, right? Some of them might, but I would say maybe on only 10%. If you really want to have an objective point of view, then this is where you're going to actually consult an expert. There's relationship counselor for that. They're actually going to be very neutral and quite objective on the relationship. But also life coach are here for this as well. As a coach, my job is to be objective and not to protect any party or the other. It's just to simply say the truth the way it is. So I would say, yep, if you consult the expert, yep, that's going to be fine. It's going to be objective.
I hear that some people say that people who are too similar can't be in relationships, or people who are too different can't be in relationships. Is that something that you believe in? Can a successful relationship be made up of people who are very alike or people who are very different?
I don't think there's any rule that could be made with that. It's true that you hear a bit of everything. You hear like, oh yeah, people that are exactly the same will go well together, or they're completely gonna clash or whatsoever. What I do believe is the fact that there's no one size fits all, and at the end of the day, it's about how much they're gonna communicate with each other. If you are in a relationship, if you communicate a lot yourself and the person on the other side communicates a lot, then it's probably going to go very well. If one person communicates a lot and the other one doesn't communicate so much, it might create a bit of issues right here. The communication is really the basics of the relationship, because even if you are not the same and you are completely the opposite, and remember, for example, we were talking about money into the relationship, how it could cause stress. And one of the key points of how to get rid of the stress of money in relationship is through communication. So this was a perfect example of having two partners that are completely different in the way that they manage money, but because they start communicating, they found actually a common ground. So for me, more than say that people needs to be the same or the opposite, more important than that is the communication that they're going to establish between them. If they have a high level of communication, everything is going to be fine. If they don't have communication, it's gonna fall apart very quickly.
That's really good advice, because, like you mentioned, you hear everywhere that perhaps people who are so similar, they're going to clash, or they might get on really well. And it's a bit overwhelming to hear both sides, which are the complete opposite. So sometimes it's hard to think, well, should I be with someone who I'm really similar to, or should I be with someone who I'm different to? Yeah, it can be quite confusing. Do you think, I'm speaking in terms of romantic relationships at the moment now, is there like an age that people could get together that would mean that they'd form a successful relationship? So for example, people who get together in their 40s, are they more likely to form a successful relationship than people who perhaps get together in their 20s or their teens?
I think based on the age, you're going to look for something different. So from what I've seen around me, it's like if you look at the late teens and the early 20s, people getting into those relationships, they're looking for um, an adventure partner, where if they have someone that is like willing to have fun, have adventures and all of that, maybe they're going to travel the world together and all of that, then it's going to be fine, because that's what they're looking for, right, at that stage. As long as they stay on this, that's fine. The problem is when they start to switch to something else, that's when it becomes a problem. And so, funny enough, there's always, we talk about gaps, milestones, sorry, in relationship. And so there's the 1 year, 3 years, and the 7 years milestone. The 7 years is a very important one, because the 7 years, most of the time, 7 years in a relationship marks is enough time to go from one stage to the other. You pretty much change a cycle every 7 years, more or less. And so you have the first stage, which is the late teens, early 20s, where it's about having fun and adventure and all of that. Then you're going to start to move to the next stage, which is about, okay, let's start to settle down a little bit, and get deeper into that relationship. And most of the time, this is when they're going to start to live together, right? then you move on to the next stage, which is like, okay, now it's the real adult life. We're gonna have kids, and let's see how it's happening. And then once you get that, you have the next stage 7 years later, which is like, okay, the kids are about now around, around 6, 7 years old. So they're kind of like getting to school and it's getting a bit different. So now we're getting into a focus of like family, but also career and all of that. And you carry on, like we could go like this pretty much up until you go to retirement, right? So as you can see, every single stage has the up and downs, the pitfalls and the traps and everything. So for example, the one where you go to that stage where you decide to have kids, that's a crucial moment in a relationship, because you don't live anymore for the two people in the relationship. You live for another human being in the relationship, and that can throws everything that you build out of the window. Like literally, it's a very challenging time for couples, and this is where they need to reinforce communication. And many couples are breaking up at that stage because they realize that as lovers they are great together, but as parents they don't have the same path. One is going to educate the children a certain way and the other one will educate the children another way, and so because there's a difference of point of view, they decide to go separate ways right here. That's the reality of things. But one more time, it goes back to communication.